Welcome to the Common Man Football Show. My name is James Coburn and
Bill Carroll. So hopefully you have had an opportunity, and if not, we can fix that, to hopefully enjoy some of the things that he and I have done together on the Feeling a Draft show. And then also I'll be doing a lot of work with my other co-host, Kofi, for Pro Prospects Radio, CDS Pro Prospects Radio, looking more at interviewing the talent.
Right. And today's episode, we're talking about the Senior Bowl, specifically the running back position, which is really deep this year. I mean, running back was definitely deep last year, but this year in particular, I mean, you got first-round running backs, obviously. You got top-tier talent running back types. You have the mid-round guys as well that are guys that can contribute to a team that could even have like Alfred Morris-like careers. I mean, a lot of those guys are in that mix. And then you have day three guys that could even, do a little bit of extra stuff there. Like, there are so many running backs in this class, and the Senior Bowl has a ton of them. Now, some of them are, a little meh, but this is definitely a very strong group of running backs. Starting with, of course, Akrum Wadley from Iowa. Another guy that's very, very interesting guy on film.
Draft Twitter loves him.
Draft Twitter loves him. But there are some reasons why. He's very quick. He's very, not the biggest guy ever, but makes you miss and is impressive from that, from that perspective. Just a make you miss kind of space back type player. Very impressive from that kind of perspective. Otis Smith from Southern Mississippi. He's going to be there as well. He's another guy that I've highlighted in top 5 sleeper running backs in May. He was another one of those guys that was in that discussion. And I probably even said in that video he's probably going to end up at the Senior Bowl just because Southern Miss is so close. And they usually invite guys that are like that. Of course, we have Kalen Ballage, the running back from Arizona State, who I highlighted in... I think I highlighted in most overrated running backs. You might... Don't quote me on that, but either most overrated or sleeper, one of those. But he's definitely in that discussion. Of course, you have Rashad Penny from San Diego State, another running back that I highlighted in the sleeper running backs that year as well. Royce Freeman, and also lastly, Royce Freeman from Oregon is the other running back who honestly is one of the more underrated running backs in this class, even though it is a very deep running back class.
What's funny, a couple years ago he was overrated, but time passes.
He's underrated now.
He's underrated.
He's very underrated. And production-wise, this is a very, very productive group. For the most part. There's a couple guys in here that are low. But, I mean, Akrum Wadley pretty much hit the Pro Bowl threshold, so the minimum amount of production that you want from a Pro Bowl player, he pretty much hit that. Otis Smith, same difference. Rashad Penny is the most productive running back in this draft class when it comes from a market share perspective. So he's pretty much the only guy in the class. I mean, based on data, he's the only running back in the class that has all-pro potential, or at least really, really high-quality potential based on his production data. Royce Freeman, same difference, hit pretty much Pro Bowl stuff. The only guy that really didn't hit the production thresholds that he probably should have hit was Kalen Ballage from Arizona State. And I guess we'll start talking a little bit about him. Very interesting guy. Had the Texas Tech game where he had 6 touchdowns in that game and was really impressive against Texas, which has a terrible defense, but it's still a defense. They're still trying to tackle you. Like they're trying to stop you. So
they're still on scholarship, is what
right. And he definitely was in a running back by committee system and stuff like that. But my argument always against people who go, well, data doesn't matter, market share doesn't matter, even though all the data, like 95% of running backs are really great, usually are this productive, is that if you are a great NFL running back, if you are Barry Sanders, if you are whoever you want to talk about,
Marshall Faulk, Marcus Allen,
whatever,
right.
You're telling me that you're going to let a non-NFL guy keep you from getting your touches. I really doubt that. And that is kind of my big... And also on film, he has fumbling issues. Mm-hmm. He's not the best inside runner. He's... there's a lot of things that are just kind of off about him. But what are your just general thoughts on
so, it was funny
Ballage?
Because this is a guy that people were... I mentioned Marshall Faulk a second ago. People were comparing him to Marshall Faulk or Ezekiel Elliott or... I'm trying to remember the other comparison I heard out there. These were all guys who produced and had great toughness.
Right.
And I'm not saying he doesn't have toughness, but he doesn't often utilize it. I'll put it that way.
Right.
He does have good hands. in terms of catching the ball. As you just mentioned, his ball security is, if not the worst amongst the quote-unquote top tier of running backs. It's up there. I'm trying to think of someone I've seen put the ball on the ground more often, and I can't think of one off the top of my head.
Hard.
So there's that. I think he'll test reasonably well in terms of physical testing, and that will help to suck people back in.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are imagining, once again, you mentioned the running back by committee, the people who do love him, even those people must still assume he's going to find a similar situation, because there's nothing to indicate he's ready to be a guy who carries the mail for you, who is the load guy, who is the main guy. Mm-hmm. There's nothing to indicate that. No. So whatever love you feel must be based on you think he's going to find a 6 to 8 touch role or something in the NFL. Yeah. And those guys exist, but even Bilal Powell, right, who I think that's another comparison somebody may have whipped out there, is a guy who produced in college.
Yeah, but Edo Smith has more in common with Bilal Powell, but I know what you mean. I mean, interesting guy, but there's definitely stuff like that. But other than Ballage, I mean, this is the honest truth of you guys. Other than Ballage, I really like all of these running backs here. I mean, Royce Freeman, very impressive player in terms of his footwork. Rashad Penny has some LeGarrette Blount tendencies, but that's a starting NFL running back. Like if Rashad Penny goes in the 5th round or 6th round and goes to the right team, he's easily, or say the Patriots. Imagine Rashad Penny on the Patriots. I know we say this all the time, but I'm just saying, if Rashad Penny was on the Patriots, he would be their starting running back and wouldn't be that bad either.
Would be good.
Edo Smith is another tough back. Bilal Powell, I mean, very similar in terms of being a bowling ball type frame type of guy. And of course, Crum Wadley is more of a space player, but
there's a role.
There's a role for that type of guy. So in terms of the running backs that are in this group, who are the ones that kind of gravitate to you most? And
I've been a Penny guy even before he took over the starting job.
Yeah.
I was talking about, it was sort of like the whole, I mean, not to the same extent of Barry Sanders,
right.
When he was behind Thurman Thomas, but he was a all-conference return guy as well as being a really good running back before he finally got the job. When he was spelling Donnell Pumphrey. When Pumphrey was gone, I knew he was going to have a huge season. And frankly, he should have been a Heisman Trophy finalist. He had a great season. He showed me everything pretty much I needed to see. I thought I was going to see these things, but I tried to make sure that I actually saw these things. His power is, while not mind-blowing, is more than sufficient. He breaks tackles. He can run away from people in the open field.
Yeah.
He can cut back to the backside of a play and find yardage that wasn't on the front side. He can block a little bit when he's not asked to do it a lot.
Not all the time. Yeah.
No, not very often. But when he's asked to do it, he does it. It executes it fairly well. He can catch the ball both in the sort of classic screen game kind of things, but even when he's asked to, run straight up the field or run a post, he does it well. Catches the ball. You can catch the ball over either shoulder. They haven't done a lot with that. Usually when they throw the ball, it's dump offs. Mm-hmm. But on the few times they let him go deep, because he can get deep, he's shown he can get deep and catch the ball. So I think he's a very complete running back. Royce Freeman is interesting to me because he's a big back who's also kind of a speed back too. He's a guy who, he's not quite Todd Gurley.
No.
Because Todd Gurley, there's nobody like that in this class.
Yeah.
But he is a big, fast back.
Mm-hmm. And
he hasn't done everything. Like, when they do throw on the ball, it's always just, out to the side. Almost like an extension of an option pitch. Mm-hmm. They don't throw it vertically to him, though I think they could.
Right.
But, hopefully at the Combine we'll see him do some of that.
Right.
And things like that.
Right.
I'm not as high on Wadley as some people are who, think he's going to be
the next LaShawn McCoy.
Right. Yeah. I don't see LaShawn McCoy. I don't see Dalvin Cook. But I do think he's going to be a solid NFL running back. I mean, I think that, once again, you mentioned the Patriots. I mean, that's a place where he'd be a really good fit, actually.
Yeah.
He looks like, another Patriot running back.
Right.
I mean, that's exactly what he looks like to me. Edo Smith is, despite the fact that he's not physically very big, is one of the most tough and durable running backs in this entire class. Unlike Freeman, who's struggled with injury. Unlike some of these other bigger backs who sometimes have had trouble dealing with the quote-unquote pounding. Ito Smith has had a lot of touches, but hasn't shown any signs of breaking down or wearing down.
No.
He's really a mini power back. I mean, it's hard as it is to sort of envision that, but that's what he is. He has some quickness, he has some speed, but that's not his game. His game is running up there between the tackles.
Yep.
And he can make guys, if not entirely miss, then not be able to get a clean shot on him in a tight, restricted area, which is a really high-level running back skill. Mm-hmm. There's lots of really good running backs who struggle with that, with when you're going to touch me. There's not enough space for you to miss me completely, but how can I make sure that you can't get enough of me to stop my momentum?
Right. And
he's really good at that. Maybe the best in the entire class, or close to it in terms of that particular skill. Right. That's it. That's all of them, right? Yep,
yeah, that's it. That's all the running backs for at least the Senior Bowl. They might. I mean, you never know. They might add another running back here and there. But pretty solid group of running backs. Of course, in the next episode, we're going to be talking about the wide receiver group, which is also pretty impressive. There's a lot of impressive wide receivers in that group as well, and some other guys might get the call up too. I mean, you never know. Maybe some of the trying wide receivers, maybe, kind of, sort of, might get the invite as well. But of course, my name is James Coburn. You can find my work at draftcoburn.wordpress.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at Geometrics. And of course,
you can find me sometimes, if not physically side by side with Jim Coburn, then at least spiritually side by side with him, doing the Feeling a Draft show, which is part of the package of shows that you get from Consensus Draft Services. And of course, our Pro Prospect Radio show I also do with Kofi is more focused on talking to prospects, but we talk about prospects on Feeling a Draft, and you'll be getting us and then some special guest stars. Not too much later. You can also find my content in Nuts and Bolts Sports if you go to www.nutsandboltsports.com, and of course on Twitter at bcarroll138. That's B, capital B, capital C, ARROLL 138, or at 11 Bravo. That's ELEVEN 11 Bravo 138 on Twitter.
Gotcha. And if you like this content and you want more content like this,
well, you're going to like it. I mean, you've got to like it.
You've got to like it.
So once you've done that, now you have to find the people you care about and share it with them. Because think about it, you're not a selfish person.
I don't think so.
So like and share.
Exactly. It's nice to like and share.
It is nice.
It's very nice to like and share. And of course, hit that notification button so that you're always reminded when another video of mine drops. And I will talk to you guys in the next episode. Peace.